Hello and welcome to Tuesday's Talk. It's so great to meet with you every week and just talk a little bit live and give you a message that kind of whatever I see as a need in the group and what people seem to be interested in. And what I've received a lot recently is some interest in these silent retreats that I've taken. That's a 10-day Vipassana retreat. So you hear a lot about the different journeys that I've been on. If you look at my website and if you are in my group, you hear that I went to India last year. I also went to Brazil and visited and met with John of God 2 times. So I have done my fair share of wandering. I went to Maui and met Ram Dass and lots of trips. I'm always looking for new opportunities to get out there and experience different things in the world and really kind of learn a lot about what's going on outside of me and around me. But I have to say, of all the journeys that I've taken in my spiritual adventures, the biggest and most profound journey that I've ever taken has been these 10-day retreats in silence, which is, again, called a Vipassana retreat. I've done them twice, and I have another one scheduled for this December, so I do try to do that once a year, if at all possible. And hopefully by the time you're done listening to this video or watching this video, you'll have a pretty good understanding of why I do that and why I feel so compelled to make this a regular part of my life. So if you know anything about me or you're involved in this Facebook group that I run, you know that I am a huge advocate and supporter of the notion of mindfulness, especially as it relates to meditation. And so on a daily basis, I take these deep dives into my inner guru or into my higher self to see if I can't connect better with who I really am. You know, not this outward shell, not the person who is a bodybuilder and a fitness competitor, not the mom and the grandma and the wife, not the employee, not even the person who speaks to you all the time, but the person who speaks through me to you, the being that speaks through me to you. And so that's the purpose of this mindfulness practice of meditation, is to dive deep in, peel back the layers of who we think we are, and bring forward that true loving person that we really are. So I adventured out into this notion of a Vipassana retreat, or a 10-day retreat in silence. And again, this is my 3rd year of doing this every single year. And here's what it is involved. First of all, whenever I talk about this, everybody kind of freaks out and says, oh my gosh, I could never spend 10 days in silence. I would go crazy. And they're scared off about the idea of even thinking about this retreat because of this notion of being in silence and this fear of whether or not they'd be able to do that. So first of all, let me just reassure you, when you do a 10-day retreat in silence, the notion of being silent is such a small challenge or issue throughout the course of your 10 days. So to get a little bit of an understanding about what the scenario is like, when you do these retreats, you are in a camp, so to speak, setting with men and women. The men and women are kept separate. We do meet in the meditation hall, but the men are on one side and the women are on the other side. So there's no interaction between men and women throughout the course of the Vipassana retreat. You are typically bunking up with another person. It's certainly more effective to do that just in terms of space. So we're often bunking up with one person, sometimes in a room with a couple bunk beds and maybe 4 people. The interesting part about this is not where you're sleeping or who you're bunking up with. What you'll notice, though, is everybody is in silence. So the challenge of talking or not being able to talk for 10 days is really small because nobody's talking to you. So it's not like you're needing to respond to anything. Nobody's even really looking at you. The goal of this retreat is to create the appearance or the feeling of being alone. Because the idea behind these retreats is to stop all the input. So we go through our lives and we're constantly getting messages and comments, and we're reading material, and we're bringing in information online, and we're answering our phones, and we're constantly having all of this information input to our systems. And what happens so often is the challenges and the things that we really want to come out with, to bring forward in our lives, are weighed down by all these layers and layers and layers of input that we're getting constantly. So not only the good stuff that we kind of want to bring forward into the world, but also the things we need to work through or let go of. So let's say somebody's hurt us or offended us in our lifetime, or we've had different hurts, challenges, emotional pain, trauma, things that we experienced in our life, but for some reason we weren't able to come out with them. We weren't able to deal with those things and allow for them to come out of us and to let go of some of the anger and the fear and the challenges that we've had as a result of these traumas. So a lot of times we push them down. So for example, I was taught in my childhood that negative emotions are not okay. So I was allowed to smile and laugh, and I could be happy, and I could be all these really good things. But if I was angry or sad, I wasn't really allowed to show that. We were supposed to buck up, keep it all together, so to speak. And so I learned how to do that really, really well. So I can be in an emergency, for example, and in a really scary situation, and I don't freak out. I mean, I do what I need to do to get through it, and I push it down, and I do what I need to do. But unfortunately, a lot of times that doesn't unravel. We push it down, and then we just keep putting things on top of it for our whole life, sometimes for lifetimes. And so the notion behind a 10-day retreat in silence is not just to be silent. You actually turn off your phone, you don't have a computer, you don't have books or music or anything inputting into your system. So that is where the challenge starts. So what happens is when we get nervous and you're talking with somebody, and sometimes when it gets silent, you get real uncomfortable with that uncomfortable silence. And you throw something in there because you feel like something needs to be said to cover the silence. Well, nothing needs to be said. There's nothing wrong with silence. And yet we're in a culture where being silent somehow makes us feel like we got to do something about that it's not okay to just be in silence. And so in these retreats, when you stop the input after about day 3, so you're on a relatively rigorous meditation schedule. Now, none of that is required, but there is a schedule set for you, and you're there to do this work. And so why not, right? Why not be there as much as you can? So you have this schedule, and by about day 3, after no input, no information input at all, you start to get a little freaked out. I mean, you start to kind of unravel. You're starting to experience things in your dreams that are enlightening to you, that are awakening, that are helping you maybe understand something that maybe you didn't understand before. While you're in meditation, you will often get input from your inner guru about ideas or concepts. These can be healing things, or they can be creative ideas. Just whatever kind of needs to come up when you get rid of all that stuff that you've been carrying around emotionally and mentally in your body. When you sit still, you stop the input, things start to unravel. The person who kind of talks a lot, or used to, he's passed on now, but he used to talk a lot about this, is Goenka. And first of all, just so that you're clear, this is a non-sectarian event. So this is not a Buddhist or a Christian or any particular religion event. So you can do this experience no matter what your spiritual belief is. It will just get you better at doing what you do. So it will make you a better Christian, a more effective and more healthy and wholesome Christian. It will make you a more open and loving Buddhist. Or Hindu, or whatever your religious practice is. So it's not designed to entrance you or entice you into any particular religion. So you need to be really clear on that. But what it does is, what happens is, it's designed to untie what's called untying the knots. So you go through this opportunity, you stop the input, and all of a sudden, if you think about a cord, and if you're twisting a cord, and you keep twisting it and twisting it and twisting it, and it starts to kind of curl into this big knot, what you notice is if you let go, it will untwist on its own. So that's a really important thing to understand, that your body wants to let go of these things. Your soul wants to open up and let these traumas and challenges and anger and emotions that aren't serving you, it wants to let them out. The problem is all of this input is holding them in. All of our insecurities and our fears about what's going to happen if I cry, or what's going to happen if I really let go of some of these emotions that I have stored really, really deep inside of me. And so this is an opportunity to let go of them in a safe environment, in a safe, loving environment. So what happens is after the input stops, things start to unravel. So to give you an example, I was in a meditation during this course my first time around, and it was about halfway through the course, and I was sitting there, and by the way, you're comfortable. You're not forced to sit in lotus position with mudras or anything like that. You're really in kind of a stadium chair on the floor with cushions around you and pillows, and you're meant to be comfortable. So it's not about personally putting yourself in pain and agony while you're meditating. It's really about creating a comfortable environment for you to do your unwinding. So I was in one of these meditations during my first Vipassana 10-day retreat. And I was sitting there, and it was perfectly normal in the room. The temperature was normal. There were people all around me. It was relatively dim or darkly lit in the meditation room. And I was just sitting there, and I had gotten, in touch with my breath, and I was going through the process of meditation that you are actually taught there, a way of doing similar to a body scan meditation. And I'm doing this meditation, and about 15 minutes into my meditation, I just feel heat. I can feel heat kind of at the base of my bottom where I'm sitting, and I can start feeling it coming up through me. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm trying to meditate, what is this heat? Who turned up the temperature in the room? And it kept getting hotter and hotter, and it would come up through my body. And about half an hour into the meditation, I was just literally feeling like I was on fire. And I sat through it because you're taught in this course to just be with whatever shows up. So I sat there in this meditation with this sensation of heat just coming up and coming out through my body. And I wasn't even outwardly sweating. I could just feel it. It was the strangest thing. And I even peeked. I mean, you're doing this with your eyes closed. I even peeked to look around the room to see if anybody else in the room was feeling what I was feeling. And of course, nobody was. Everybody was in their own space, feeling their own things and having their own experience. But for me, it was so profound. It was this incredible, I felt like I was literally sitting on a Weber grill, a charcoal grill, and just being cooked. And it was painful. It was not comfortable the whole time. But I just sat through it and allowed for it. And I kept thinking to myself, nothing is wrong. I mean, physically, I'm not burning. I mean, there's nothing going on. But it allows for these things to come up and come through you. And every night you have a discourse by Goenka, and it helps you understand the process that you're in that particular moment. And so the irony or the synchronicity of that whole thing is the things he talks about that night are so, no matter what you've been going through, they're so specific to what you're experiencing. It's like he's talking to you. So that evening, after my fiery meditation, Goenka happened to be talking about the fact that emotions that have been put down come up in the form of sensations. And the emotion that is represented by heat is anger. So often if you're feeling heat during a meditation, it is anger trying to release itself from your system. So there are other things too. I had other meditations where I was just bouncing around. I just felt like I couldn't sit still, real jerky and kind of like somebody was tasering me. And that's fear coming through. And, I think about times in my life where, first of all, I wasn't allowed to express anger, and times when I have put myself in some pretty scary situations and experienced a lot of different types of fear. And so this coming up, what made a lot of sense to me as I was experiencing these sensations coming up through my body. But think about that, we never let this happen in our lives. We never take time to just be and allow for whatever we need to have come up and out of us. And so you do this, and probably by day 6, I think Goenka says by day 6 is the biggest day where people leave. I mean, you get your mind is playing so many tricks on you to get you back into control, to grab on and tighten you back down. And so I was on this roller coaster where one day I'd be saying, oh, wow, this is the coolest thing I have ever done. I can't wait to tell all my siblings and all my friends. They all need to do this. And then the next day I'm going, this is crazy. What am I doing here? This guy is chanting. I don't understand him, and I'm ready to leave and I'm wasting my time. And then the next night I'd have some amazing dream or some incredible meditation or some wild sensation where I would come back to, wow, this is so cool. Like, everybody in the world's got to do this. I got to try this. And you do this roller coaster the whole 10 days. I mean, it is, let me just say, it's not easy, but it is so worth it. I got done at the end of my 10 days, and I have to tell you, I walked out of there like I was walking on air, like I was walking on the clouds. Just so light, and like you've let go of these weights and these anchors that have held you down for so long. And it's so interesting because we hook onto this notion of it's silent and I can't be quiet for 10 days. And that's just not what it is. It's just not why it's so important. So let me just tell you a few details about how to get into something like this. First of all, it is incredibly and completely and entirely free. So as an example, if you heard me talk today and you thought, wow, this has really helped Peggy, I want to donate to that organization, they would not take your money. The Vipassana organization will not accept any donations to any of this until you have done a 10-day retreat. So that's how pure this is. Nobody there is making money. The people who are there to serve you are volunteering. Even the teachers that are leading the class are volunteering. So they're all wanting to share this beautiful message of what it means to take this time and how you just come out such a better person and so more ready to connect with the world and to bring your gifts out into the world and to speak your truth without holding back and without being weighed down. So it's absolutely free. It lasts for 10 days. They will house you and feed you some of the best vegetarian food I've had in my entire life. I ate at this retreat. So they will house you and feed you and care for you. If you have any problems, of course, there is a way that you can speak with somebody. So there is a manager that runs your particular retreat, volunteering, of course, that you can reach out to if you need to talk to them about something. If you have some specific need that you have, like you need a blow dryer or you need shampoo or something like that. You can also arrange time to speak with the teachers. So there is an opportunity if you're experiencing things in your meditation and you really want to work on understanding more what's going on, you can certainly talk with your teachers in private as well. So you're really not totally silent in that respect. But completely free, great food, beautiful friendships. The very last day, you break your silence and you learn a loving kindness meditation, which is now, it's kind of like the message of, okay, I've done work on me and I've been so blessed by this work. How do we now give that love out to the world? And that's known as metta, or loving kindness meditation. So the last day you spend doing that type of meditation and your silence is broken, and so you have the opportunity to meet your brothers and sisters who have gone through this 10-day retreat with you. So there are centers all over the world, several of them in Michigan. I know I have some friends in Michigan, lots of them in the Massachusetts area, New York area, that area. I go to one in Jessup, Georgia, which is about 4 hours south of me. I've got the website posted on this particular feed, so hopefully you will be able to click on that. When you click to that website, there'll be a video that Goenka does explaining a little more about what this is all about. Man, I highly encourage it. It is so healing and liberating to let go of some of those things, and there's always something more. So every single year, you do one of two things. You either get rid, sometimes both, you get rid of the things you've piled on since the last time you did a retreat, or you get rid of stuff even deeper than you did the retreat before. So if you've done a good job of not holding on to things, your meditation and your work goes even deeper and gets rid of so many more of those challenging and difficult things that you're harboring and carrying in your body all the time. So I highly recommend it. If you have more questions, I will check the comment section. I can't see it on my iPad while I'm talking, or I would be commenting back to you. But if you do have questions or comments, please reach out. I would love to help you get enrolled in a retreat. If you see something you're interested in, make sure if the application section is open that you apply. These fill up really, really quickly, especially if you're a woman. The men's retreats don't tend to fill up quite as quickly. The women's fills up really, really quickly. So if there's one in your area with the dates that you can make and you see that the application is open, make sure you mark your calendar and jump in as soon as it does open, because that opportunity does not stay open for very long. All this I hope is helpful to you, and hope it helps you understand a little bit better about these beautiful, healing 10-day Vipassana retreats in silence. Have a wonderful day. Namaste. So much love.